You're welcome back to Arise 360. I am Afua. So, as always, it's been a very busy day for the big screen and the small screen as well. And at Arise 360, we love keeping a track with what's been happening. So here is our closer look at film and television. And filling us in on all the film and TV news, I am now joined by Arise entertainment correspondent Afua Adom, live from our studios in London. Hi, Afua. Thanks for joining us today. It is great to have you on the show. So let's get straight into it. We spoke about Liam Neeson earlier, and, you know, it's literally the story of the day. So what are your thoughts on this, you know, with all the reactions we have gotten so far to his comments on the black man who, you know, allegedly raped his very close friend?
So we had Liam Neeson appeared on Good Morning America, where he talked about this, and basically he has not apologized, not taking that opportunity to realize why what he said might have been so offensive to so many people. And of course, this is in reaction to comments that he made in an interview with a newspaper here in the UK when he was talking about his film Cold Pursuit. And he talked about revenge and how he felt the need to take revenge when a friend of his, this was about 40 years ago, mind you, who was raped, and he asked his friend, you know, what color was the person. Now, that's problematic, first of all, but we'll come back to that. She said that he was black, and he said that he walked around for about a week with a kosh, which is like a big stick or something, and he was looking for a black man. Now, he used a much more derogatory term I'm not going to use with you here today, but basically he was looking for a black man to kill. He said this in an interview, it went on record, and this emerged yesterday. And so today he's been on Good Morning America. He said, I am not racist, but he hasn't apologized for what he said at all. What he did say in the interview was how he said that his need for revenge came from growing up in the Troubles in Ireland when the country was basically at a form of civil war, and he said that lots of terrible things happened, and this brought about in him a need for revenge. But what he didn't do, or failed to do, was kind of square the circle properly and say, look, I understand what I said and how I acted was racist. That's what he didn't do, and that's what he should have done. It's day 2 of this controversy. There's still no apology, and this is going to bubble on and on until he realizes, look, you can't just say these kind of things. This is problematic because, first of all, he had this attitude to ask, was the person black or white? And second of all, because he thinks it's okay to say these things, there's also an element of, do you hear yourself? Do you hear the words when they're coming out of your mouth? And one almost thinks to themselves, no, you don't. Therefore, you're also not very smart. So you're not smart and you're a racist, Liam Neeson. It's not going to bode well for your upcoming film.
Absolutely. So the big question now, talking about his upcoming film and how this could affect it, is this particular situation possibly capable of ending his career? Looking at one of the really, really good, you know, action superstars we have out there. We've seen him in Taken amongst so many other great movies. But is this statement alone a career ending?
It's too early to say if this is career ending. It's certainly not career boosting. It has got everybody talking about him, but we're not talking about him for his great performance in Cold Pursuit, and we're not talking about him in a positive way. We're talking about him in a negative way, obviously. Is this career ending? We don't know yet. And the producers of the film haven't come out to say, look, we support him or we don't support what he said. They haven't said anything yet. I am sure that is still to come. I mean, Liam Neeson, yes, he's a very, very bankable star, has to be said. He can only really play one kind of part, right? That guy who is seeking revenge, who has a specialist set of skills and all this kind of stuff. But we just didn't know that one of his specialist set of skills was being racist. Is it career ending? I'm not sure, but a lot of people are saying on social media, and you know what Black Twitter is like, we do like to have a go, are saying that he's cancelled. So this could hit the box office receipts for this film. It's due to come out at the end of this week. That still looks like it's on course, but it's certainly not going to do him any favours.
Well, definitely this is not going to do him a bit. I mean, I am personally disgusted by, what he said, and the fact that he has not come out to give as much as, an apology or to completely rule out what he said, to say, okay, I thought this then, but I don't think this anymore. Looking at the situation that we got from Kevin Hart, where people sourced out old tweets and things like that, is it possible, looking at Kevin Hart as black, and, he got that reaction to this is an opposite situation. So do you think we're likely to get that same amount of backlash on Liam Neeson?
Do you know what? It's quite pertinent that you brought up the Kevin Hart situation, because it was kind of the same thing. He said all this terrible stuff. He refused to apologize. And it wasn't until he was pressured that he did apologize, but he did lose this huge gig in hosting the Oscars. I mean, luckily, Liam Neeson wasn't going to host the Oscars. There's people on Twitter saying, and other social media saying, that he shouldn't be invited to the award ceremony, that he should be banned from going. And I hope it does get that same kind of backlash. It seems to have already. A lot of people come out and saying, are you joking? Did you actually say this? And people are thoroughly disgusted. And I do think if he had an invite to the Oscars, I hope that it has been taken away. Let's be honest, he hasn't really lately been in any kind of Oscar-winning, Oscar-nominated films. Taken 3. I don't even know why that was made. But, I hope he does succumb to the pressure and actually does apologize. I mean, it will probably get to the point where it will be going on for a week or so, and then he says sorry, and it probably won't mean anything, and that will probably come from on high, from the producers and the makers of his film that he's in, and probably the next one, go on, say sorry so we can keep it moving. There is always an element of that, but for me, like you said, I am absolutely disgusted I'm not a Liam Neeson fan anymore, and I kind of was, to be honest. Like we said, he's a huge bankable star and always made these great action movies, but there's no explaining your way out of these kind of comments. I don't care if it was 40 years ago. Obviously, it's awful that this thing happened to your friend, but for you to, one of the first things that you say, was this person black or white, says to me you do have a kind of air of white supremacy that lives in you, and that's what bubbled to the surface. And if you're walking around with that, I don't want to be any part of that. And what I also do hope happens is that Black Hollywood come out and say, Liam Neeson, really? We're not working with you anymore. I really, really hope that happens, and that they take a stand and they say, look, you cannot walk around saying these kind of things, not realize why it's wrong, not apologize, and think that it's going to be okay.
Well, fingers crossed. Well, let's move on from this and talk about something else that's been really, really causing a lot of controversy, talking about the Super Bowl. Now, we hear that it received its lowest ratings ever, and we were talking about in 10 years. How possible is this if people literally had to go rent televisions and return them the next morning to watch the show? I mean, Americans, what are they like? But yeah, the Super Bowl had the lowest ratings for 10 years. So it had a 44.9 share overnight rating and a 26.1 share in New Orleans, and that's where the Super Bowl actually took place. That was 53% down on last year. Now, there has been talk that this was because the New Orleans Saints fans actually pledged to boycott the game because of the game before. Now, of course, the Super Bowl was between the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots won, but the Los Angeles Rams actually beat the New Orleans Saints in a game that was widely disputed to make it to the Super Bowl final. So that's why it's been said that lots of people boycotted the Super Bowl. In New Orleans, they actually had a rival celebration for their own team, and they repeated a game in bars that was quite popular for people to watch that instead. So for the Super Bowl to be so massively down in New Orleans where it's being held is a big thing. But also, let's not forget, we had lots of black celebrities and lots of celebrities across the board still supporting Colin Kaepernick for taking the knee that he did at games where he didn't want to stand for the national anthem, where he was protesting against police brutality against African Americans. And so a lot of people said that they just weren't supporting the Super Bowl. They weren't supporting the halftime show where we saw Maroon 5 performing. And then a lot of people came out and said, well, hold on, we've got the lead singer of Maroon 5 with his top off, but when we saw Janet
Janet Jackson's nipple, nobody could recover for about a decade. So the Super Bowl this year, really,
and then let's not even talk about the first
Rihanna
situation. I mean, people went on talking about the fact that Big Boy wasn't fair, and they're like, in a time where people are going against for why it's literally like the Super Bowl just planned to go against everything that people stood for, everything that people believed in. Now, let's talk about something else that maybe got people a tad bit excited, talking about, you know, the big brands taking the opportunity to preview their upcoming adverts and movies and things like that. So what should we be looking out for? Looking at what the Super Bowl had to offer.
Yes. This was literally probably the best bit of the Super Bowl because it was quite a boring game as well. But like you said, it's a real opportunity for big brands to come out, and they put all their ads out and put out the trailers for the year. So we had, my favorite thing actually was Serena Williams, who did an ad for Bumble. So Bumble is a kind of dating app where women get to choose the men. And she did an advert for that about being strong and about being able to choose a life you want. And I was like, yes, Serena, I'm liking this. Even though you have a husband and a baby, why not support women who don't? So we love that. But we had lots of trailers for films. Disney were very prominent. The one that got me most excited was Toy Story 4.
Me too.
I don't know about you, but I'm like a massive Toy Story fan. Toy Story 3 had me in tears. I needed like 2 days to recover, cried in the cinema, everything. So Toy Story 4 is coming out, and we had a trailer for that. And it was just a snippet, but it looks very exciting. The old gang are back. I literally can't wait. Like, honestly, it's going to be gorgeous. So that's coming out as well. Jordan Peele was quite prominent. So, of course, he was the director of Get Out, which was a huge hit last year.
Amazing movie.
He's got his new film, Us, which is coming out. Get Out, one of my favorite films. So Us is coming out, still in that kind of horror genre, featuring a mainly black cast, and the horror is kind of sort of racism related. It's going to be amazing. It's going to scare the bejesus out of all of us. So there was a trailer for that as well. And also the Twilight Zone, quite interestingly, which he's going to be a part of. So we had a trailer for that too. So Jordan Peele featured quite heavily, which I'm loving because he's so super talented. We also had a trailer for season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale. Now, I don't know about you, but this is one of my favorite things on television.
Yeah.
Scary as heck. And it's about this dystopian universe where women are owned by the state. It's taken a bit of a different direction, apparently, this season. It's going to be darker than ever. So we saw a trailer for that as well.
Amazing. Now, there was a mention, or rather, you know, it's literally a series that, not series, a movie that we've all been waiting for, talking about Avengers. And we also saw a trailer for that. Now, a lot of people think this trailer was not necessary in the sense that, you know, it didn't offer any information whatsoever. So do you think that they just did that because there was a Super Bowl and they just had to plug in on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some companies pay up to $5 million to have their ads in that Super Bowl slot, and it's such a coveted slot. I think to say that there was a Marvel trailer in the Super Bowl is just good just because you can say it. But I kind of like when trailers don't tell me everything. I don't like it when you watch a trailer and the whole movie's in the trailer and you go and see the film and you were like, hold on, there was no point in me seeing this. I actually think what Marvel did was quite clever. It keeps the suspense going, keeps us wondering what's going to happen in the film. You're not really telling me anything new. All I want to do is see more. So I think actually they played the game in the right way for a change.
Oh, well, I don't know, it kind of just got me really upset because I was like, really, no words? Well, finally, it's another day, another reboot, and we hear that they were going to get a reboot of a really exciting old show. It's so phenomenal, and I'm really excited in finding out what's going on with Dawson's Creek. You know, it's something that we cannot wait to see. It's a really, really amazing reboot that we're just hoping that it comes up really, really soon. Anyways, you see, I am just wondering, at the end of the day, it all boils down to one thing: if this reboot will happen or if it won't. I mean, we've seen so many different reboots. We're hearing that, you know, the Big Bang Theory is not coming back anymore. You know, Game of Thrones as well, prequel gone. Anyways, Afua, you look as stunned as I do. I figured. hear anything I'm just saying. Anyways, thank you so much, Afua, regardless. I hope you get that when you watch the show later on. Well, that will be all from Afua, and it's almost the end of the show. But before we go, we do have a final video for you. During an outbreak of a deadly plague, a woman must save her community from foreign invaders. But the entity she conjures to protect them is a far greater evil. Here is a trailer for The Golem.
You're a woman, a giver of life. God has assigned you a calling and you're refusing it.
Milk about creation of man. We could use the hidden code inside the Book of Creation and create ourselves a golem. And the man form in mud shall be engulfed in living fire. Let there be life. What have you done? I've created a golem. It is a heartless monster, and we must take it back from whence it came before it is too late. This boy saved me. He took on a handful of men with his bare hands. That is not a real boy. A golem is connected to its creator. A golem can evolve.
Merciful, ruthful Lord, we beseech thee, save this alien child, send the heavenly cure, and all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord. Amen. 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 Amen.
Besides prayer, there are other things which can be done. It's just a little boy. It's no evil.
Well, that creates a very long list of scary movies that I definitely have to watch. And guess what? That's also all from us, from everyone here in Lagos and over in London. Thank you for watching the show. Now, remember this, we come your way every single weekday at 4 p.m. right here on the Arise News channel. So, until next time, I am Kachi Afua, and this has been Arise 360. Goodbye.